Miller was sprinting that one. He didn't want the 2, of course, earlier in the over because he wanted to stay on strike, but he was looking there for any kind of fumble, and he was coming back.
Yeah, good bowling, better length from Jordan. The slower ball. Interesting. What do you think of Miller staying on strike and turning down the 1?
It's been a conversation, hasn't it, around the short form of the game, whether that will happen more and more. It's not as though we're playing on a postage stamp, though. Smeared away by Markram, and he'll get 4. So certainly no loss for South Africa having Markram on strike.
Big swing from Aidan Markram. A little bit of lucky with a thick edge.
This is where things just slow down a little for England, because Butler has to now, in conversation with Jordan, has to make it back to his wicket-keeping position. Hit firmly down the ground by Markram, should come back for a couple, and that brings up his half-century. Strike rate of around about 140, which is very standard for him in T20 cricket. 51, we've got 1 over left, 181 for 3. Just looks a bit frustrated with himself, doesn't he? As if he's not quite timed it as he'd like to, but he's played pretty well. 51 from 36. He's got 1 more over. Will it be Curran? Will it be Willey? It looks as though it's going to be David Willey. Started things off for England today with a wicket maiden, and he looked so dangerous in his first spell. He was given 3 overs at the start of the innings, so 3 at the start, and he's going to finish things off for England now. We thought about between 185 and 190 was about a par score for South Africa. They're going to be in that range or just a little bit more, depending on how this over goes. Should get 2. Willey will give chase, but won't prevent the second.
Good running again. And these two, South Africa will be looking for an over in excess of 15, maybe 18. Throw caution to the wind. Doesn't really matter. Hitting to the long side or the short side.
Bowled in. Very good from David Willey, who's having an enjoyable afternoon here at the Rose Bowl. Picks up his 2nd wicket.
Excellent from David Willey. Hitting hard length. Staying very, very straight. Trying to tuck David Miller up. Just clips the leg stump. Gets Willey his 2nd wicket. David Miller, very, very productive innings. 22 from 9. South Africa 183 for 4.
Yeah, it was a good innings, that, from the captain in his 100th game. 22 from 9. He's given the innings a bit of impetus. We've got 4 balls left, and the rather tall and imposing figure of Tristan Stubbs comes to the middle, who was incredibly impressive in Bristol, couldn't quite match it in Cardiff, and has got 4 balls left in this innings to make his mark.
Very, very impressive young man, huh? We'll see him play a few shots.
He'll be swinging himself off his feet here. He's got the shorter leg side, which is, from initial view at Bristol, the way that he liked to go, just to his leg side. It's a bit shorter, and that looked to be his strength. Down the ground, will it beat Jordan, who is incredibly quick but not quick enough?
What a talent this young man is. It sounded like he didn't get the middle of the bat. The brute strength of the 21-year-old is good enough to beat Chris Jordan at long on.
Yeah, he was getting across his stumps to open up the leg side. Willie was trying to push it wider. I think that will be the go here as Stubbs aims a practice blow to the leg side. I think David Willey knows what's coming. Gets it over fine leg. 4-4. Good start from Stubbs.
We said that he would definitely play a few shots. He's gone boundary. Just swiveling on a short ball. Races away. David Willey talking to the skipper again. Maybe change of plan, try and get him hitting to the long side. There isn't much value in taking him to the short side. Tristan Stubbs can hit the ball a long way.
Yeah, what field have they come with here? So Jason Roy goes to long off. Square leg comes in, Dawid Malan. So it's likely to be full and wide, this, you would think, from David Willey. Well, it's wide, but it's short and into the pitch. And over my right shoulder, Sean Pollock, for the last 4 overs, has been saying into the pitch, bowling cutters is the way to go on this surface.
Yeah, it doesn't look great sometimes, but it's very, very effective. David Willey rolling his fingers across the ball, forcing Stubbs to play a tennis-like shot. Whereas in actual fact, he likes baseball shots, I think.
In the air it goes. Oh, brilliantly taken. Liam Livingstone is out at cover. He had to make some ground away to his right and takes a very good catch low down. So 191 for 5. It's a pretty good score set by South Africa, who begun with a wicket maiden from David Willey, so that set them back straight away. But they've recovered well. Half centuries for Reza Hendricks and Markram, and a bit of a flourish at the end from Miller and Stubbs. This was the final wicket of the innings. Good catch from Liam Livingstone out in the deep.
He's made a lot of ground to get to that ball, Liam Livingstone. His head remained really still. And the fans are happy.
192 then the target. It's 1-all, remember. Everything to play for. Looks like we're going to have a bright sunny afternoon for this run chase from England after the intermittent showers that have caused 1 or 2 interruptions. It's nice now. And that's where South Africa got to after that early dismissal of Quinton de Kock, which really set them back in the first over. Hendricks made 70. Markram 51 from 36. And there was a flourish there from Miller at the end with 22 from 9. David Willey, 3 for 25. 3 overs at the start in the opening power play. Came back and bowled the last of the innings. 3 for 25, the best figures. Jordan a wicket, but quite expensive today, and just that 1 over for Moeen Ali for his wicket. Slightly lower target than we've seen at the first 2 games at Bristol and Cardiff, but 192 still is a reasonable ask. England will have to go at 9.6 and over. Well, it was an entertaining first half of the game. Pitch is pretty decent. There's a bit of protection for the bowlers to these boundaries. We'll see how England fare after the break.
In Southampton, South Africa have batted first and they've made 191 for 5. Reza Hendricks continuing his excellent form, 70 for him. Markram 51 not out. Riley Rousseau with 31. A little cameo from David Miller. Just 9 balls for those 22. Willie excellent. Moeen Ali only bowling 1 over, 1 for 4. England need 192. Mark Butcher, therefore, the batsman in the spotlight again.
Yeah, they certainly are. South Africa, I think, played their way to a total. We've seen teams batting first and setting be successful in the series so far. I think South Africa, they rather eased their way to 191. It will remain to be seen whether or not they could have gone a little harder and perhaps pushed up to 200 and beyond, or whether they will need to. I think the bowling for them, as we look at Henrik Nortje into the side, will be key in terms of taking pace off the ball. Now, Nortje, if he runs up and tries to bowl rockets, might well play into England's hands. But it's going to be the likes of Pefler and Geedy, Tabraiz Shamsi, I think, who are going to hold the key for South Africa when it comes to defending this total.
Well, if Henrik Nortje wants to bowl rockets, he certainly can, but you say it might not be the right pitch to do it. What we have seen, though, is Lungi and Giddy bamboozle England's batsmen really with the slower ball. He's taken 7 wickets in the series, and they've all come from what would appear, anyway, a fairly straightforward change-up, because it's just an off-colour.
Yep, absolutely. But it's incredibly well disguised. None of England's batters have tagged it, and he has foxed and outfoxed nearly every single one of England's top 6, and it's caused a lot of problems. I think this surface is going to be absolutely ideal for bowling those deliveries on again. So he is going to be somebody to look out for, as will Pefler and Shamsi. How he goes in his 4 overs will be pivotal too.
So hopefully that rain that we had in the first part of this T20 International has disappeared and we won't get any more. It's a target for England of 192 to win the series. If they do get there, it'll be Jos Buttler's first series win as white ball captain, and Mark, that would be quite significant for him, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's been feeling the pressure a little bit. If you think about the relative merits and the relative sort of trajectories of the 2 teams, Test team and white ball team, prior to this season, it's the Test team that's been in the doldrums that are now shooting for the stars, it would appear, and it's the white ball team who have gone into reverse. A lot of people will be looking at the captain, looking at the man who's with us in the commentary box, Owen Morgan, and saying, well, what a difference it's made since he's not been there. And so Jos Buttler is starting to feel that pressure. You could see that on the balcony up at Cardiff during the failed run chase just 2 or 3 days ago. I've never seen an England white ball team under Owen Morgan sat there looking as shell-shocked as this England batting lineup were during that run chase. Now they need to kind of snap out of that and get back to the days of sort of sticking their chests out and having that aura about them that they can do anything at any time. And Buttler and co will go a long way to doing that if they chase this one down.
Yeah, if they chase it in style, they can lay down a statement. I read somewhere after that Cardiff defeat that Jos Buttler was out of nick. Well, he's not. You don't play some of the shots he played at Cardiff. if you're out of nick. He's short of runs, yes, but he's not out of nick. By contrast, though, Jason Roy is struggling a wee bit. And maybe this is the game to kick it off for him. 192, he knows what he's got to do, go out and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been working very, very hard at his game. He's not somebody that generally will hit a lot of balls, but he was out there in Cardiff hitting for about an hour before the start of play. He's desperate to go out there and put his lack of form, and in particular his sort of low strike rate, right. And it would be just like him to go out and do so in a crunch game such as this. England could do with that flying start, that is for sure.
OK, Butch, I'm going to leave you. You're going to be joined by Sean Pollock.
Jason Roy, the man in the spotlight right now for England. He has an enormous amount of credit in the bank, you would think. However, just of late, those returns have diminished quite alarmingly for somebody with his talent, his experience. So England will be looking to him to quieten some of the noises around the camp and around his future as we get ever closer to that T20 World Cup down under. It's going to be left arm spin, an area in which teams have felt that they could attack Roy in the past. Keshab Maharaj, who's had an excellent series, took a stunning catch in the win at Cardiff to get rid of Moeen Ali, diving down at long off. And it'll be him with the field up in the first power play. Long off is back, as is a very straight, deep mid-wicket. Roy gets away first ball. It's all on, Polly. All to play for.
It is indeed. It's the decider. It's a decent score, I think, from South Africa. Went about it in a slightly different manner. Not too many sixes that we've seen in the first two, with balls just disappearing everywhere. Just the one maximum. It'll be interesting to see how England go about this run chase.
Butler has been hitting it extremely well.
Whoa, ball, Casey.
Just hasn't managed to get beyond cameo status for his innings. He's had a couple of sparkling 20s in the series so far. Some astonishing strikes, but he's found ways of getting out. Two good catches actually in the outfield have got rid of him. You see the cogs whirring at the moment for Jason Roy.
Yeah, there's going to be that moment, isn't there, where he's just going to decide, I'm going to look to impose myself.
Happy with South Africa's total?
Yeah, I thought about 180 was going to be about par, so I think they'll be pretty happy. I thought that partnership in the middle was interesting. No massive shots, but eventually were able to launch themselves and impose something which I think on this big ground, with the inability to be able to clear the fence at will, I think it's very competitive.
Five singles then from the opening over. A tentative start, a hush around the Aegeus Bowl. Five without. He's the roof at one of his former grounds. Hampshire player, of course, in the past. And all in all, that means that England will need 192 to win the match and take the series. Henrik Nokia into the attack.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes, because I felt pace on with Jordan was probably the easiest option for the batters to put away in the first 20.
Slip in place. Jason Roy just opening the eyes there, trying to get some light in. He's quick, Henrik Nokia, and he doesn't take any time to get up to full speed either. No looseness for him. 90 miles an hour first ball.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the field they've got set for him, because they've got a slip in place which you're thinking, okay, I can find the outside edge and maybe create a little bit of movement to bring about that first wicket. But then he's got fine leg and square leg back on the boundary, which would tend to suggest he's really going to try and target the stumps and try and be very straight in his line of attack. Doesn't want to offer up any width.
Captain Miller. He's given the job of captaining the Kings 11 Punjab franchise in the IPL back probably about 6 years ago now. I think he might have lasted about 3 games and then gave it away. He seemed reluctant to lead, but he's done it well in this series so far.
Almost too early for him at that stage of his career. I think it was just about batting, trying to wallop ball.
See the contrast there in the relative confidence and movement between these two players. Josh Buttler, that delivery 92.5 miles per hour, and he played it as though it was a throwdown. Jason Roy at the moment looking very suspiciously at the ball and at the pitch, and it's the difference that form and runs make to a player. Generally speaking, the faster you bowl it at Jason Roy, the further he hits it. Oh, there's nobody there. Now that will get you going. Jason Roy picks up 5, and maybe his luck has changed. Maharaj hangs his head and says sorry.
I could see that unfolding too from where we are on the pod. I could see David Miller had gone to cover the keeper's end, and as Maharaj lets this go, there was no chance of anyone backing up. You can see Nortje gets out the way, expecting there to be a David Miller behind the stumps, and that's as easy as it gets for Jason Roy.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Nortje only had himself to blame then. He got out the way.
Credit to him. Like he's smiling at the stage.
Got no choice. It was his fault. That'll help your strike rate anyway, Jason Roy. Buttler again with a crisp-looking punch. Right, let's see if that's made any difference to the demeanour of Jason Roy. Freebie 5. Short and pulled away in front of square. That's a bit more like it. We'll come back for a second. It's a quick over from Henrik Nortje. 10 runs from it, 15 without loss. Well, a little smile on the face of Jason Roy. Perhaps those shoulders will relax a little.
Change your bowling. Right on, mate. See you.
A little tense in the crowd here. He knows that it's the decider of the series. The international cricket of the summer down here. Very well supported. They should have a treat on their hands here. Doubtless one or two will be with eyes on telephones or an old-fashioned wireless plugged into the ear to listen how the Lionesses are getting on. Only 20 minutes away from kick-off there. Clipped away, there's nobody there. And Gidi replaces Maharaj, and Buttler finds the boundary.
Yeah, and Gidi be disappointed with us. You try and get into your spell, try and get into your over, and you don't want to offer up anything for free. His initial option is to try and hit back of length off stump, and just slides it down the leg side, fine leg up in the circle. And once again, Buttler's off to an impressive start.
Took on Miller, no hesitation. wonder if England will have looked at the way South Africa built their way to 191 for 5 and just thought to themselves, you know what, maybe we don't need to come out and try and thrash every ball to the boundary. I know it's not been their way, but this is a one-off game, isn't it? It's a winner-take-all. Simply a case of finding a way of making 192. You don't have to take your ideology into every single innings that you play.
Field's changed. There was a slip in place. That's now come out. Giddy's, his figures, 47 wickets he's taken. Really is a fantastic wicket taker in this format.
Oh, that's hit him on the shins. Martin Saggers, at least the finger was unmoved anyway.
This is the strategy that's been quite effective to Jason Roy over the years, just being able to get it to nip back. I presume this one's nipped back too much and maybe heading down. It is indeed. And seeing Giddy on that occasion went slightly wider of the crease, trying to create that little bit of an angle. Now that the slip's been taken out, he doesn't want to be shaping it away or trying to find the outside edge.
Slow ball is thumped, but straight at Miller.
Yeah, we discussed with him earlier on today, and the keys for him has been the length he tends to land it on, and when he varies it, he's been spot on. That one's slightly over pitched, but Jason Roy unable to pick the gap, so he gets away with it, doesn't Giddy? But we'll see more and more of those as the match goes on.
Again, slower ball, length just a little shorter, and again the deception, it only has to be a split second just to delay the downswing of the batter. You see that index finger off the ball for the cutter. How much of a view you get of that from the other side, from the batter's side, is questionable. And there it is, and it does for Joss Buttler as well. Just get the batter into his downswing early, and there's nothing they can do. 21 without loss.
Between work, family, and everyday life, I can't slow down. Thankfully, CBD MD helps me conquer the day. Take advantage of instant savings and fast free shipping. Available at cbdmd.com.
The ball on the right-hand side, just before it gets to that point where the fingers and the wrist are pointing skywards. It's so marginal. You get virtually no sight of that from the batsman's end.
Yeah, and often the bowlers will sometimes show it as they go up and they gather that they've adjusted things already, but he doesn't. I think it's a very late adjustment. I think this is a big over. Maharaj usually gets away with one at the start of the 6 in the power play. But now that these two batters set on 21, 3 overs done, you get the feeling that Jason Roy might be more willing to try and take even more risk than what you've come accustomed to him doing.
Okay, interestingly, Maharaj has sent long on back. He caught mid-off up. That tends to suggest he's going to try and bowl arm ball, slide the ball back into Jason Roy.
Yes, Balla!
Which is exactly what he does. Roy gave himself a bit of room, and that's an excellent piece of fielding.
Yeah, this is the challenge for South Africa. Often they play the 3-seam, so you'd have Rabada and Gidi Nokia or someone like a Janssen, and they'd almost have those first 6 sorted. But Dilipet Kwai was put under quite a bit of pressure in the first 6 at Cardiff. And they, as I say, they normally try and get away with 1 over in the 6 from Maharaj. So with England not having lost a wicket at this stage, I think there's going to be a very important 2.4 overs.
Yes! Hold it, here we go, Reese.
edged. It's going to run away for 4. I wonder if that ball might have missed leg stump when it hit the outside edge of Josh Buttler's bat.
Yeah, it's a fortunate boundary, but I suppose from the South African perspective, they can't really complain. I think Reza Hendricks had 3 or 4 in the first 6 overs. It would have definitely missed leg stump. In fact, it's done well to miss Quinton de Kock's gloves.
Oh, in the air and taken. Once again, Josh Buttler unable to get going. Unable to see his side through the power play. Maharaj coming on for that second over has paid dividends. It might not have been the way he'd expected to see the back of the England captain, but South Africa do not care.
I think this is a massive moment in the game. We've seen Buttler start brilliantly in all 3 of the T20 internationals, but hasn't really been able to go on and get a really big score. It's the case in point again today, 14 from 10. And it's Maharaj who's done the trick. We thought they might try and attack him, but what it's done is create an opportunity. Buttler goes for 14, 28 for 1.
The incoming batter for England, number 29, David Maharaj.
Keshi, what's up, Ed? He's over the wicket, 1 ball remaining. Off something, slightly to you.
Dan Milan is the new batter for England. Got England off to a really good start after the dismissal of Josh Buttler in the opening game in Bristol. Maharaj picked him up in the second game at Cardiff. Has a tremendous record in 20-over cricket. England need him to come out and do something similar here again today. 1 ball left of the 4th. Wicket and 7 runs from that Maharaj over. 28 for 1.
Yeah, well, Maharaj did well. He was held his length pretty well, even though there was some movement on the crease. That's still hitting the top of the stumps. And Buttler trying to go inside out and pop it over the offside. And a good low catch from Lungiangiri.
Goes down as caught slip, that, isn't it?
From an angle of the pod, I couldn't see it. I honestly thought he just let it bounce and scooped it up on the bounce. I wasn't sure it was going to carry. Maharaj would be very, very happy with his little introduction into this encounter, the decider.
So much talk about the off-cutter from Ngidi. You forget that you can get bounce and pace out of any surface.
Yeah, every once in a while you can get a little double click in, you know, the flick of the wrists with the wrist behind it rather than cutting down the side of it. That was proper. 82 miles per hour, but the way it took off.
Finds the fielder. And the strike rate is 15 from 15, 100% from Roy. It's such a long way below where he would normally be at this point in an innings.
And you consider he was given that bonus of the 5 of the overthrow, 5 of 1 delivery. They are 29 for 1. South Africa at this stage were 29 for 1.
So 1 or 2 adjustments in the field for the left-handed Milan. Third man and a man back on the fence just behind square on the leg side of the 2 boundary riders. That slip is still in place. Good pace, good bounce again from Ngidi. I suppose with all of that talk, I mean, so much of this game, the T20 game, is about sort of bluff and counter bluff. And everyone's talking about Ngidi and the slower balls, and England have really struggled with it. Today he's gone, well, I'm not going to show you any. I'm just going to run up and at 6'7" or whatever he is, hit back of a length and have the ball rear up at your gloves. England perhaps setting themselves for the slowies and getting the quick stuff instead. Just feel the crowd getting a little restless at the moment. Just not seeing the ball flying to all parts, and they've come to expect it from this England batting lineup.
Yeah, as I said, even Stevens 31 for 1 now, 31 for 1 with South Africa, but their last over was the Jordan over. I think it went for 17 or 18 of the power play. You're talking about the slow delivery, so bowling wise now his first one bounced nicely, good length, and you would think this is now the opportunity to go to that slow delivery. You'll be having Milan guessing. He would ideally have wanted to get away with it. He went for the seam up delivery there, but he would ideally have wanted to get away with that as a dot ball. And then he had the banker of the slow ball up his sleeve.
Stayed down that one, didn't it? That was 86 miles per hour. The previous delivery to Milan that bounced up and hit his gloves was also 86, but that one really scuttled through low. Finishes off with a slower ball. Jason Roy picks up another single. He goes to 17. England 33 for 1 from 5.
3 and 4. And I say hello to Mimi and Felix, who just got married and are kicking off their summer break with spot of cricket today. All the things you could be doing. Massive congratulations to a fantastic partnership. Here's to a long and happy innings together, Mimi and Felix. Thomas Howell celebrated his 21st birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. Sitting down at the hotel end. And welcome to Minnie and Edward, aged 8 and 9, attending their first England match today. Back to bowl at the hotel.
1 over to go in the power play. England have been steady. They're 33 for 1. Comparative stage, South Africa 36 for 1. And Norkia is back into the attack to bowl his second from the hotel end of this ground here in Southampton. Roy scoring at a run a ball, which is sort of what we're seeing with Jason of late. He'll need to up that a little bit. England's required rate is above 10.5. Pace on through, big appeal, finger goes up, and it's that slow walk off again for Jason Roy.
Yeah, it really is. The change of bowling has worked for South Africa. Norkia is quick. That first ball, he's not taken any time to find his range, because that's tipped the scales at just over 90 miles an hour. A fast ball short. Roy looking to belt it down the ground, flat bat style. And the top edge through to Quinton de Kock, and as you say, a very slow walk-off, which has become a trait of Jason Roy's of late, which just indicates the frustration he has around his form right now. 17 from 18, 33 for 2.
It seems wherever he goes, wherever he walks at a cricket ground, Johnny Bairstow gets an ovation. On the boundary fielding, they stood and applauded him, and they've just given him a rousing reception as he walks out to bat.
It's definitely gone up a level, hasn't it? He's always been a popular cricketer for all kinds of reasons. Obviously a very good cricketer, good fella. The family history, his father of course who played for England, but following his early season performances, that level of adulation has just gone up a notch. Wherever he goes, they cheer him to the rafters.
Like watching you walk out to bat then, Michael.
Hardly. I'd have been exiting into the bars. I didn't used to empty the bars, I used to fill them.
Ground authorities love Dew. They sold lots of beer. Well, he comes in at a time when England need to just get cracking a little. 159 more needed from 89 deliveries. Slip is in place and Nortje is bowling with gas. Whistles past the shoulder of Johnny Bairstow. Whistles past Quinton de Kock. A little exchange between bowler and batsman. Upshot is it's 4. And I'm trying to see what the umpire is signalling there. Did you catch the signal there from 4 byes was the signal? It just looked like he was saying it was a free hit. I wondered if there was something wrong with the foot or a no ball. No, just 4 byes. Wide, sure. That's a goodie.
Yeah, the way Nortje is running in here, you get a sense that they recognise how important Bairstow's wicket is. He's back for his second over, and right from the off here, he's just steaming in, trying to bowl quickly. And there's a bit of movement as well, back in off the seam.
Crowd are into it. Nortje will become the villain of the piece because they're loving Bairstow. But he's bowling quickly and he's got the wicket of Jason Roy. Fast and into the pitch, registered at 91 miles an hour. Jason Roy got a thickish head that would have flown down over the head of Quinton de Kock. As it was a feather through to him. That's quick too. All eyes on the umpire. Square leg umpire signals to standing umpire Alex Wharf. No ball and a free hit. Too high.
It's really quick ball though. No ball it might have been, and a free hit is given. This was 94 miles an hour or thereabouts, which is right at the top whack of where these elite fast bowlers operate.
So free hit. One of mine for one. Means that Bairstow is off the mark. I think that was a bit tight, that call for a no ball actually.
It was, yeah.
Pollock is chuntering away in the pod about there being nothing for the bowlers. So Darwin Milan left-handed. Fielders are changing position. Riley Rousseau's gone down to fine leg. Shamsi has come up from third man. And we've got Bethlaqueo behind square on the leg side boundary. Excellent over from Andrik Nortje. 39 for 2 after 6. That's the power play done. Comparison 53 for 1. England 39 for 2.
Yeah, behind South Africa at the corresponding stage, partly because Jason Roy has not really got going this summer in white ball cricket. And of course they lost Jos Buttler, who after that edge off Maharaj tried a repeat shot and then just scooped it into the hands of Ngidi at short third man. Then Jason Roy left, and Nortje was back for the 5th over, because that's when batting sides often look to really go in the power play, but he just helped keep England under control. And 39 for 2 is compared to 53 for 1 for South Africa at the corresponding stage.
Maharaj has already bowled a couple of overs, 112. This is good intensity from South Africa. They sense this is an important moment. Both batsmen fresh to the crease, and Bairstow the form horse. Well, And England have the power to catch up, but the run rate is climbing. Just over 11 now.
Over the wicket, off stand, please. Just a fraction towards you, not much. Yeah, that is. Thank you.
Fairly stern faces on the England balcony.
All sat there, arms folded, staring ahead of them. Didn't look the most chill dressing room, did it?
No. South Africa hit 10 boundaries in their power play. England, by contrast, 2. Hence the looks. It's a long way out there. They might decide to take on the arm. They do successfully. Got a good over from Maharaj. 44 for 2. Just 5 runs from that over. It doesn't look like Nortje is going to have another over from the hotel end. It looks like spin from both ends.
Curious, isn't it, as a fast bowler in T20, Nortje bowls 1 over, off, 1 over at the end of the power play, off. He'll come back at the end, but I guess he could bowl 4 spells of 1 over. I remember back in the day, if you used to bring a fast bowler on for the last over before lunch or something in the test match, you'd get a volley of abuse for it.
Well, you've got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. Actually, that was something that in the first year of playing T20 in 2003, something Adam Hollyoake said to my Surrey side. He said, right, you bowlers, I don't want to hear about you warming up. You've got to be ready to go. If I call you, you're on. Get it right. And he was absolutely spot on. Shamsi had a much better game down in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to spin away a little bit from Pethlaquayo on the offside fence, so an easy 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to have a look at Shamsi's speed today. He was very wary at Bristol and Cardiff, wasn't he, with the short straight boundaries, so he bowled quite quickly into the pitch. Whether he just bowls slightly fuller here, we shall see.